The
Oh
broadcast is
my,
live.
oh
Did we
my
get it?
goodness. What time is it?
Oh,
Only 26
uh,
minutes late.
26.
That's,
We've had 26 minutes of technical difficulties, and that is what it looks like.
it's more like technical, like stupidity. It's not difficulties.
I'm
I
waiting for
had,
somebody on my feed to make sure that they can see it on your feed.
dude,
So, any of you
it is
guys,
on
can
my
you
feed.
confirm?
It is on my
Huh?
feed. I can see it now.
It is on your
Oh,
feed. Okay.
dude.
Awesome.
We made it, Kyle.
Thank you. Huh?
Welcome.
Would you?
Robin says, did you have to create a broadcast? Unbelievable. So for those of you who are just joining in, I'm Cam Roberts. I have no idea how to
Thanks.
use
I will
Facebook.
see you in the other feed. Cam Roberts.
Yeah, you will. Get off that feed. Come to the real feed. Robin, I don't know what we did. I just started mashing buttons. There's an army. There's like 5,000 people waiting for this live. 5,000. And they're all like, where did they go?
5,000.
That's it. That's it.
And I'm going to actually exit out of Facebook so there's not many notifications pop up in the background.
I love it. Well, you know what? We're here, Kyle. We made it. I
Yes.
even had, I didn't tell you this, but I actually had a nice like countdown timer video that I was going to play 3 minutes
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I didn't do that because I would have looked like a total idiot doing this epic countdown and then nothing happened.
You know, if we were smart, we would have trial ran this like within the last 7 days or 5 days. But
Who cares?
I
Whatever.
mean, who wants to do that?
Exactly. So let's do proper introductions, Kyle, and all that junk that just happened. We'll edit out of the podcast version because that was a
Nah, man, leave it in. Leave it in. That's entertaining.
It's too. I nuked it. It's too late. I nuked it. So for those of you tuning in on my feed, I am Cam Roberts. I am the host of the Stripe It Like It's Hot podcast. I am also the owner of a company here in Prince George, BC, Canada, Earth, called Laser Line Painting. I'm repping the swag here today, as is my man Kyle. Kyle, proper introduction.
Cam, my name is Kyle Ascione. I own a paving, excavating, seal coating maintenance company of northern Michigan, Traverse City, Michigan area. We live just outside of Traverse City. We started 2018. We've been growing steady ever since. At about 3 to 4 people last year, employees, and we're looking to grow. Actually, you don't even know this yet. Oh wait, no, maybe you do. I think I talked to you about the other. We've got like 5 more people we're bringing on this year, additional.
That's
Literally.
unbelievable.
Like, and I mean, just so 5 more people, and honestly, like there's been lots of nice. John's got it. All right. There's been lots of like we see what's coming up for work this year, and my 2 main guys, Brandon and Heath. We're like, what are we going to do for people? Because we can't do this just all ourselves. And I've just been like, I'm not worried about it. I don't know why. I'm not worried about it. You know, we'll figure it out when it gets here. And then all of a sudden, when you start looking and talking to a couple people, it just like one person brings another, and then the phone starts ringing, and and then you hear from other people like, if I wasn't happy where I was at, I would want to come work for you guys. And that's just a good feeling. So
means
it
you're
gives you
doing
the
it right.
ability that that you can just kind of go out and grab, or you at least have the potential to, if and when you want to.
Boom. Well said. I actually didn't know you started in 2018. I thought you were a few years before that. I also started in 2018. We do mostly pavement marking. That's our bread and butter. That's our jam. But why Kyle and I get along so good is because we're like-minded as far as a few things. But one is employee retention, employee culture, building a place where people organically want to come work at Integrity Earth and Asphalt. That's huge to you and I. I just know it is. I mean, we go back and forth on Messenger all the time about this. And like for me, I look behind you. You're obviously at work. I see this ginormous dual whiteboard with core values in a giant box and like 500 things that I can't quite read.
All right,
That
so
tells me you can do a live demo
there's
of
a
what you
long
got
story
going on.
behind that, which we're not going to get into now. But
What do we got? Oh, baby. Look at that. Core values on the left and targets on the right.
yep.
I like that. I
Yep.
like that.
So peep the name, okay?
Yep.
I
Boom.
think
So
I think we're gonna drop the earth in the Integrity Earth and Asphalt, and just be Integrity Asphalt, um, because it's easier. It rolls off the tongue easier. To be honest with you, it's easier to say.
sure.
People remember it better. Like when somebody says integrity, they just jump to asphalt anyways. I'm just like, we're just gonna go with it.
Totes, totes, totes.
Yep.
So Kyle, how many employees now? If you don't include the five more, like, well, let's include the five more because it's happening. How many employees now? You're like me. You have to sit there and think about it. That's a good problem to have.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Do you need toes? Eight.
Yeah, just about 8. Yeah.
Eight. And
Yep.
obviously, when you started in 2018, I don't know this. That's why I'm asking. I'm not just fluffing people for the airtime. But like,
Yeah.
was it just you? Was it just you when you started?
Yeah. It was me, and literally there was neighborhood kids that were riding by. They were 16 years old. Actually, I don't even know that they could drive. It was like 15 or 16 years old. And I'm like, hey, do you guys want a job? And they said, sure.
That's a
And
perfect
we
start.
and we went through our first season like that. So when we started, it was like go time was July 1st. I was officially without a job. August 1st was our first job that we had to go do. And, that's pretty much the tail end of the asphalt season. And
Yeah.
so they jumped on board and I taught them how to do it as we went. And the nice thing about it is like they were energetic enough to where they were just like animals. Like they were making good money for one thing. And so it was like, you mean we can do this and we can make some good money? I mean, they were 16 years old. I was paying them $800 a week.
Totally.
Like that's good. And
Oh, that's more than good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Do you have
we
just curious? You don't have any of those like OG people from 2018 on staff still? Do you?
no.
Oh, that would be so cool. Could you imagine? I mean,
I
the
know.
chances yeah.
That was kind of like my selfish dream. I was like, how cool would it be if they were still here and kind of grew? But no. I do
That's
have
okay.
the longest running employee I have right now, is Brandon, and then I could say Heath as well. Brandon came a little bit sooner, but this will be his third season with me.
Cool. Super cool.
Yep.
So what's the Kyle Ascione secret sauce in integrity? Like companies of our size don't just go and add five people willy nilly like that.
No.
There's intention behind that. And there's a reason why you need to do that. So I mean, you've pitched some crazy like culture building ideas to me that when you told them to me in Messenger melted my brain. Like I think you're taking the value of building a culture to the next level. But I'm curious what's the secret sauce for Kyle to make this work at Integrity?
I was really thinking about that yesterday, and the instant thought that popped up into my mind, to be honest with you, is effort. And that might not be an exact answer, but you put effort into what matters to you. Okay. And so I understand that this is a team effort. You can't have a team effort when only one person is doing most of the work. You have to get people on board. You have to get people sold into your vision, so then it becomes their vision as well. And it just plain takes time and effort. Like my main priority is to make sure that the people that work inside this company, because it's not even necessarily about me. Okay. It's a joint effort for this company. So the people that work inside this company, I'm just responsible for what happens here. That they feel like they're contributing for one thing, and that they've got something they're working for too. So in order to achieve that, I have to stay way ahead of what's coming up, what we're planning on, and like how much we control the culture within. It is more like I don't want it to get to the point to where it says cult, but it's like a brotherhood. Even though we've
Yeah.
had a girl work for us last year, it's just like we've got something so great that the standard holds the accountability. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? And
100%.
so when somebody feel and it's I have to set that in place ahead of time.
Yeah.
Love that, John. Um, but it's like, all right, how do we make people feel appreciated? How do we
That's
make
it.
people feel valued? You
That's
know,
it.
in order to do
That's it.
that, you
That's
have
it.
to get to know them first.
100%
And
agree.
then,
That's everything.
hmm
Yeah,
and
that's
so
been.
then, like,
No, you go.
honestly, we don't, we don't work at something if we don't make any money. Like the whole purpose for us to have a job is so we can make money so that we can do something else. You know what I mean? I'm lucky that the business that I have now, I'm so passionate about that. Like it is my hobby. It is, I have to pull away from it sometimes and come back down to reality because I find myself only being able to talk about business and what we're doing. And it's like, I need to be able to communicate with other people, So, um, it, the side effect is money. Okay. The
Boom.
side effect is money that what you have, or is the money that you earn. If you go into this realizing that we need a team of people in order to achieve X, Y, and Z, then you're going to immediately start to value and invest in them for the purpose of doing that. If your main focus is to go out and make money and think that I just need hands in order to make me make money, your focus is off. Like you're probably make some effort in the right direction, but everybody has to benefit from what you have going on.
That's it. Everyone has to get a piece of it in some way, whether that's financial or whether that's making them feel like they're actually contributing to something valuable. That's
Mm-hmm.
something. I mean, in a sense, that comes naturally to me, like that idea, but actually implementing that into people, I find not as easy. Like to get the vision out
Yep.
of the head into what this company's doing and transfer that to
Mm-hmm.
the employees and to get them to buy in. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious what you think about being empathetic to people. That's something I think about a lot. So in our company, we're about the same size as you. We have 10 people and they're all
Mm-hmm.
different, right?
So when
They're
you
all different.
say empathetic, what exactly do you mean by that?
Like you have to, this is what I force myself to do. I have to put myself in their individual shoes. All, I guess it's not 10 of them, 20 of these shoes, because there's 10 people. And
Mm-hmm.
if get into their heads and have them tell me like what are you looking to get out of this? Because I view
Okay.
an employment as a partnership. Like it,
Yep.
it goes both ways. You and I are in the space of asphalt and contracting, and there's so many contractors who are icky. They're icky, icky, icky because they view it exactly like what you said. What can I get out of this person for my business? How much
Yep.
ROI can I get from this employee? It is
Yep.
so backwards if you just flipped it the other way, and instead of
Yep.
viewing it as, what can this person do for me, but
Yeah.
instead what can I do for them?
Yeah.
All of the value organically comes back to you as the business owner or the manager or whatever your role is, because
Right.
you're forcing those people to take accountability, because now they see the clear path for them to get. This is something I say all the time in our team meetings. I know they're going to be sick of hearing it, but I say earning
Mm-hmm.
potential all the time. Like what
Mm-hmm.
earning potential is huge. So
Yep.
how do I increase your earning potential? It's by
Yep.
me understanding what you're trying to accomplish with in your position. For example,
Right.
if you want to buy a house, I mean, realistically, if you're a $25 an hour employee, that's going to be difficult to do. Not impossible. Depends where you live, obviously. Like, but up here in Canada, 25 Canadian is like $20 American. It's going to be hard to go buy a house. So what I'm interested in as the employer is like, I'm not going to insert myself into people's personal affairs and start asking
Mm-hmm.
like personal questions, but I
Mm-hmm.
do want to know, like, if that's your goal, how can I leverage your position here and help you get that goal? Because if you
So
take it to that level, you get people to buy in.
yes, keep going with your thought. I'm not going to lose mine, but keep going with yours.
That's why I have a pencil and a notepad so I don't lose thoughts. Otherwise, it's gone. It's again, it's so backwards from what I have seen both in my working experience. I worked at a great place in my old town. I loved working there. It was a glass shop.
Yeah.
No ill will to them at all. I loved it, but there wasn't a lot of giving back to what we just talked about, like what's in it for me. I could see what I was doing for the company, but it wasn't directly coming back to me. So I lost interest in trying to further the mission of what that company was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, empathy, man, empathy, like trying to figure out how best to help somebody as an employee. It
Yeah.
brings it all back to you organically. It's everything to me. So I come up with, I think they're crazy, weird ways of trying to understand that. I mean, we have a weekly team
Yeah.
meeting, which if you want to build, newsflash, if you want to build a successful work culture, have a weekly team meeting. It's not optional. You have to do it.
Yep.
It's
And pick
amazing
a
the
day.
insight.
Pick a day that's a reset for everybody. Like at the like a Monday morning is great. The start of what you're trying to do, and I can't take credit for that. Somebody had Mike Claudio had brought that up to me in a talk he was giving that I was sitting in at one point in time. It was just it's a simple suggestion. Like you have to get your entire team on the same page, especially because all right, understand that your team is not going to be on the same wavelength as you are as an owner. Okay. You will always be thinking differently. And so just because they walk through the door doesn't mean that they're as engaged as you are. Yes, Mike, it is you. Dude, I am Mike's watching. Okay. I feel like a celebrity is watching us right now. Like
How do
Mike
you
and
not?
Cam
Oh man,
watching me. I know.
that's it.
But the thing is you have to understand that they're not going to be as fired up as you are about your business because that's ultimately what it is. You can think about it as a team effort, but it's ultimately your business. And so they just came off a weekend, their mindset was more so like, what am I going to do outside of work versus what am I going to do inside of work? So when you have a Monday morning team meeting, what that does is it immediately gives everybody a chance to relax because most of the time when you show up to work, you expect to have to be productive right off the bat. If you understand, and Mr. Hogate here, if you understand that this is not about effort, it's about passion, then what you do is you say, all right, we need to get on the same page first, and then we move forward together. I'm going to get you all in here in the same room. We're going to lay out what our goal is this week, what we're trying to accomplish, understand that everybody has a role inside that, and here's how you're all going to contribute to the common goal. Like the minute we started a Monday morning team meeting, one of the biggest realizations that I got was that there was so many people that were unsure of what we were about to do this week, but they were too afraid to speak up. And so it was huge for me and it was huge for them to where it's like, then the accountability was set. Like, can we have a meeting about this? We need to talk about this before we go ahead of time. Like, then it wasn't just me enforcing that.
Dude, was your first team meeting cringeworthy and awful? Be honest.
No, it was great.
Shut up. No, you're lying.
It lasted for 3 hours.
See, this is why you're the man. So I resisted the weekly team meeting for the longest time, and Mike knows because he told me to get on it. And I always felt like our company wasn't big enough because when I started working with Mike, like I think there was 3 of us. I'm like, well, what am I going to do at a weekly team meeting? We didn't even have a shop or an office. So like literally we had the first few team meetings at Starbucks. And
Yeah.
and when we finally got into the shop and the office, like the first couple were weird.
Yeah.
And it's not even because like I don't mind public speaking. That's no problem. But they're just it's a different thing to do. And I felt that resistance of like maybe this is just like maybe we shouldn't do this. And there's a couple meetings where I'm like,
Why feel like it's public speaking?
you just hit one of the points. A team meeting should be led by somebody, but should involve everybody. Is that what you're getting at? Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So if somebody is looking to start team meetings and they don't know how, This is just like take down notes because this is tactical application right here. Okay. Don't feel like you have to talk at them. What your goal is to talk with them. Okay. Bring up a topic that you don't know what you're going to do about it and wait for engagement. Say, look, everything on the board right here is all from team meetings. It starts out with saying this right here. That's the customer experience. I basically built out certain points that I knew was going to happen, and we needed to fill in the gaps in between. What happened with this customer experience is when you walk through the customer experience within inside your company, you get to touch every role's involvement with the customer. So when you get to the end of that, everybody is wide-eyed and saying, my role here matters. And so when you bring up a problem that you're trying to solve and you bring it up to your team, they now feel like they're contributing because they are. It's not a feeling, it's a truth. So sometimes you don't have to know everything. There's value in vulnerability because you leave the door open for contribution.
Well said. Okay, you and I talked before. We're going to save the questions for last, but this is like right in with what we're talking about. My man, John Stanton. Is your meeting to go over what's coming up or motivational and company based? Do you want to go first? I'm chomping at the bit. I would love to answer how we do ours.
You go for it, and then I'll follow up with mine.
And Mike's going to be so proud. We took it right out of the Mike Claudio playbook. So John, our weekly meeting is typically Mondays. We'll change that to Tuesdays during the winter because of snow removal. You get crazy hours with snow. But Monday morning, we have 5 things. Where are we here? 5 things we do every team meeting. Number 1 is employee recognition. So either myself or our operations manager, Steve, will handle that. So we take the time to acknowledge one employee specifically. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out thing, but something that happened in the last week, so we shout that person out. The second thing we do is always core value. Always, always, always core values. So sidebar, if you don't have core values, DM me or Kyle and we'll explain to you why you should have them. So it doesn't matter yeah.
I'm gonna stop you. Just interrupt for a minute. Like that's not a suggestion. That's a request. Like this is a demand. This isn't something that you put on your back burner and say, "Yeah, I'll get to that." No, what you need to do is stop everything you're doing right now. Figure out who you are as a company, and then you move forward.
Agreed. That's it. So we could have our own podcast just about core values, but.
Yep.
So our meeting, the second part, we'll either talk about how we can improve in one or explain some details in one of our core values, or we'll incorporate employee recognition with the core values and explain how this person, exemplified that, how we can do it better with clients, something to do with that. Number 3, we do like Mike calls it the captain's report. We call it something similar. So that's basically, I'm trying to get what I know is happening in the company, project-wise, what's coming down the pipeline. I get that out of my brain and onto a team meeting on a whiteboard. I want everyone to know the opportunities that are coming in the pipeline. Because for 2 reasons, that gets them excited, number 1. And number 2, it negates the view of your employees thinking that you're just sitting there at your desk all day cashing checks. If you take a little bit of time once a week just to tell them, hey, there's a couple opportunities coming up. Here's what we're working on. We're thinking about adding this service. Whatever it is, gets them involved. Number 4 is we do the plan for the upcoming week. So that's always done by our operations manager, Steve. This is what the plan is, whether it's snow removal, line painting, we go over that. And then we round it off with something to do with education, continuing education. So usually that's safety related. We'll incorporate a safety component into that. Every meeting's the same, man. Every week they know what the 5 things are. And man, I stole it right from Mike. I'll tell you what, it slaps. It is a great structure.
So mine isn't necessarily in the same format, although I do like what you do. And so like that's seeing that there needs to be some consistency with it, I do feel is very valuable. To answer John's question very quickly, it's not one or the other, it's both.
Boom.
You don't have to bring up both at the same time. but as long as you're intentional with the purpose of your meeting, it will have one purpose or another. So, what's coming up or motivational. It's whatever is the biggest, it's to get everybody on the same page. So whatever your number one priority is at that point in time, you need to touch on that the most. If it's setting the vision for this upcoming season or this upcoming week, or realizing that you have a morale issue that you need to address and uplift, because this is where you as a business owner are going to start realizing that there's lots of work that needs to be put in, because you need to stay so far ahead of the rest of your people with solutions. Okay. You're seeing something and you can't struggle with them. So if you understand that there might be a morale issue, everybody's in the middle of the summer or towards the end, sometimes it is extremely valuable, not sometimes, all the time, to give a reminder like, look, we are doing great things. Don't lose sight of the work that we're doing. Even though it's hard, even though it's rough, even though it's the end of the season, even though we've been working our ass off, you have to understand that your effort is not worthless. It is for something. We are doing great things, because you sometimes get all of the feedback as a business owner. As I feel like as you grow, you're basically just a problem solver. Okay. So you see more of the problems, which is kind of, if it's a plus or a minus, it's a negative. Okay. It's a minus. You also get to see the people that come up to you and say, dude, you guys are really blowing it up. Like, I've had people ask me, I had somebody ask me last night, there is nothing interesting about asphalt. How do you make it entertaining? And I'm like, because that's a sales and marketing question and answer, but your employees need to see that. Your employees need to see when a client gives you a text, sends you a text and said, you guys are amazing. Your crew is amazing. When they highlight a team leader, they need to see that versus just be a cog in your wheel. So I would say to John, whatever you feel like is most important that you need the crew to understand, that's the biggest point of your team meeting.
Boom. And I would say, especially for John, and I have the, secret inside info on him and his company. And so he doesn't have a big company. Even if it's just a tiny company, 2-3 people, do it anyways. Mm-hmm. For two reasons. One, you're going to start the habit now. And when you grow, you'll already have the habit ingrained. But even with 2-3 people, like you want those 2-3 people invested as much as possible. You don't want to, you lose one of those 3 people, a third of your employees is gone. Get it built in, like, as soon as possible. Hal says that every morning, sorry, I got to read this. Every morning, Hal, HD Seal and Stripe, every morning before leaving the shop every day, we do a morning ritual before leaving the shop every day. We work, including group push-ups to get us all in the right headspace. I mean, if it works for you, I'm not about that at all. I don't want to be doing push-ups at 8 in the morning on a Monday. But hey, I mean, even that, like, you're getting people to buy into something together. Nobody really wants to do push-ups, but if you get everyone on the crew doing it, you got buy-in, right?
As long as there's unity, that's what matters.
Boom. Kyle, I didn't ask you beforehand, so you can tell me to be quiet if I'm being too invasive, but the thing that you told me about in Messenger approximately 2 weeks ago about what you are doing to build value with employees as far as potential opportunity, like, this melted my brain. I was freaking out while I'm reading these messages of what Kyle is doing with the employees in his company.
Okay.
I mean, go.
All right. So I'm just going to say, I'm not going to reveal all of my secrets. Okay. Because there has to be some value to just, like, being on the inside. Okay. But, in order to say that, I'm going to start by mentioning and talking about what our first core value is. Our first core value is respect people as an individual first. Okay. And I think this is part of the answer to the secret sauce you asked me about earlier. Respect people as an individual first. What I mean when I say that is we spend too much time at work throughout our week and throughout our life to hate it and the people that we work with. Okay.
Agreed.
So one lesson that I was taught firsthand for the last couple of years is that you can't treat your coworker like they don't matter because you don't get to see them at the end of the day. Like I'm only
What
here
do
and
you
I
mean?
got to deal with them for, all right, you don't have to go home with them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You don't have to go home with them. I had two of my guys, they moved here from Pennsylvania. They lived with me, Brandon and Heath. They lived with me for the first year and a half to 2 years and worked for me full time. And I was their friend before they were my employees.
That sounds like a
So
lot.
talk about the 1 in a million chance that something like that would work out. I happen to find it. Okay.
They're still
What
with you.
that
Both of those guys are still with you.
both they are the backbone of my company. Okay. There is a spinal cord that holds everything in your company together. If your spinal cord has a disc out, everything else suffers. Okay. You end up growing the backbone of your company that everything then is built off of. How do you do that? First, one of the biggest things is when you're in team meetings, what that transfers into. When you have one or two or three people, it's not a meeting, it's a discussion. Disguise it as something else. You're communicating to the people that you have. And so when you sit here like this, because we can do this because we're live, if I get my chair to cooperate,
The
when you sit
podcast
here like
people will
this
explain it.
and
Yeah.
say, how do we solve this problem, guys? You're now in a meeting. You know what I mean? And so when it's a discussion of how we problem solve, they walk away from that saying, I see where we're going and I see the potential in this company and I'm part of it. I don't want to let that go. I don't want to, I want to continue to be part of that. And I realize that I'm important. Okay. So respecting somebody as an individual first and realize that they have feelings, they have ambitions, they have goals, they have struggles and everything. We don't have somebody come in our company and work on our job that brings everybody else down throughout the day. Okay. Or that we stop name calling. There is no name calling inside our company.
That's
Nothing.
probably for the best. Yeah.
It is because it's like lighthearted jabs to make one person feel better at the expense of somebody else isn't worth it. It's not. That's not respecting somebody as an individual first, because what if it does affect them and they're just not willing to say so? Let's
Is
not
this
even try
coming?
to.
Is this coming back to the $1 million idea you told me about? Because I really want you to say
It
it out
is. I'm
loud.
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay,
Okay,
I'll get to it.
it's
I'll get
fine.
to
It's fine. I just want to get to it. Yeah.
it. So, so when somebody's bought in, it's like, all right, now they're bought in here. Okay. Helping them grow personally and skillfully is another part of it. Okay. I don't want them to just grow inside my company. I want them to grow personally. Okay. One of the biggest things that I've done, and it almost scares me to a certain point, because I'm like, man, I'm like growing people that are, when you grow somebody in parallel with yourself, when you learn something new, you transfer that message onto somebody else. Don't keep that to yourself. It's like, man, I'm training up newer entrepreneurs that they might leave me to go start their own business because of the value that I've given them. So
How would you feel if they did that?
honestly, truthfully,
Yes, truthfully. No,
it would
untruthfully.
I value the people that I have enough that they're an extreme important part of my company, and I would be sad to see them go. Everybody also knows that they are not chained to this company. I had this conversation 3 weeks ago. Somebody came to me and said, hey, I need to talk to you as a friend, not as an employee. Okay, we're going to sit down. We're going to take both of our work hats off, and we're going to talk. And I said, look, as much as you do around here, you're not tied to this company. This is my responsibility, not yours. If you choose to be a part of it, then that's your choice. But I care about you as a person first and as an employee second. So then I just start to look for when you help somebody grow parallel with you. I don't think it's fair for them to watch you grow exponentially and them not have the opportunity first.
That's
Or not
huge.
first, but
Yes,
as well.
to
If
go
you're
along
going to
with you.
grow
Yeah.
exponentially, then they need to be able to grow on exponentially. So the thing is I'm looking to get into real estate investments. Okay. How great would it be if I created a real estate investment opportunity that I start and my employees can invest into and start to gain passive income on the side while they are still working for me?
Next
In
level.
order to do in order to do that, you can't have those conversations without having conversations of financial literacy and financial responsibility. Like, because if you think of where you've been in your life, and anybody that's bought a house or done anything massive, like, you basically take your 30s to make up for the mistakes you made in your 20s. Okay. So it takes, it's true. It takes lots of time to dig yourself out of a hole. I don't know how it is in Canada, but here in America, the thought of financial literacy and mapping out a plan to your success isn't something that comes along every day. It's like,
Yeah.
you talk about the 1%, you talk about the elite, you talk about whatever. It's like, yeah, they're on some other juice that I don't know what's like, and I don't even want to like. But if you give them a taste of what it's like to do that, it doesn't mean that you have to do it for them. They still have to do a lot of the work themselves. But creating my own opportunity, why not let them join in with me? You know what I mean?
Boom.
How
That's huge. Yeah.
where I'm gonna not reveal exactly what I'm doing is like the exact details of what we're doing. I mean, it's just
It's
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 not that I
it
won't. It's a big topic for a different time.
it's a huge deal. So that's taking it to the next level. Now you're elevating somebody who works for you, not just a job, but now you're giving them a potential to
Mm-hmm.
make passive income to set up
Yep.
something for their future. That is
Yep.
next level. So I haven't done
But there's
anything that big brain, but I'm a fan of it.
Well, there's lots of personal development that has to come before that. This didn't come unless we had times that were sit down, talked about lots of different things, talked about problems, talked about how you get ahead in life, and then it's like, look, dude, like, now that you understand this and you are looking to grow as well yourself, this is what I'm doing. Let's go. Like, everybody come along. That's where it's
Mm-hmm.
at.
Yep.
If they don't
Yep.
want to, then they don't want to. Some people don't have that type of ambition, and that's fine. Okay. But this is like picking out your ideal client, is you have to build into somebody just enough to see where they're headed and where they're not, and
Mm-hmm.
give them a hint of the opportunity. If they jump at it, great. If they don't try and force them. Let people be who they are.
Boom. Dude, I like what you said about people's ambition. You're bang on. Not every one of Integrity Asphalt's employees is going to want to invest into a real estate program, but you've created something as an option for them. The key that I think about a lot, Kyle, is like, how do I find out what your ambition is? Because even if you just want like a stable job and you want your 30 hours or 40 hours a week, there's still something that you can do to bring value to that person. So I am not investing in real estate. That's not my jam. But I've done something so stupid simple that I stole the idea. All of my ideas I steal from other people. Let's get that straight right now. This
Yeah.
is very few things are my own originality. I just adapt them for our culture. But Brian
Mm-hmm.
Hess, this was over a year ago. He was talking about when they bring somebody in, not to his asphalt company, but the coaching company that he has.
Mm-hmm.
He makes them fill out a form. It's called How I Want to Be Coached.
Yep.
And I looked at this form and I was like, man, that is a good form. Like he asks questions about what do you value? What are you looking for? How do we help you? What makes you mad? What makes you happy? What's your biggest incentive? And you force that person to put it all down on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw Brian do that last year and I was like, how killer would that be for people working in our company? So
Mm-hmm.
I basically stole his form, tweaked it a little bit, and I made it into I use Google Forms all the time, like forms.google.com. You can,
Yep.
like any idiot, we couldn't figure out how to go live on time, Kyle, but we could figure out how to make a Google form. It's so easy. Literally, every single person who has worked at laser line painting, past and present, has filled out that form,
Mm-hmm.
how I want to be employed. It has
Yep.
completely changed the game because even people that have worked here for a year or longer, I can go back to their form at any time and see, how do I help this person based on what they value? Like, what
Yeah.
makes this person tick? What makes them happy? What are they trying to accomplish? And so
Mm-hmm.
now I've even taken that a little bit farther with these Google Forms, because you can send them out to people's phone. They can fill them out on their phone on their couch. So we've taken that for our upcoming paint season, which gets going basically in a couple of weeks. Our company production has expanded so much. We now have like 2 full-time just painting crews going out. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have new operators, new people. And I was concerned, man, Kyle. I was like, how is this going to work? This is a lot of
Yeah.
people, and a lot of them are
Yeah.
new. Simple Google form, and it some questions on there were like, what kind of schedule do you value? Do you prefer working days? Do you prefer working nights? How much do you
Mm-hmm.
enjoy overtime? If it's
Mm-hmm.
slow, would you rather stay in the shop and do shop stuff, or would you rather go out? And just that little simple form tells people in our company that I am interested in knowing what you want to do.
Yeah.
So it's cool with me. Hey, most of our work is at night, Kyle. Like, we're stripers. Like, most of it's at night.
Yeah.
But it's cool with me if 2 of our 5 people in the field are like, I don't want to work nights. I can make that work as long as I know what you want. And now I can build a work and a culture environment for those 2 people that will better
Mm-hmm.
align with what they want. Google
Right.
Forms is completely changed everything. I just love it.
What you're doing there, the act of it, the action of it is figuring out your employees, just getting more data. Okay. The thought behind it is investing into them first. Okay. And so when you get into the personal development space, and especially in the entrepreneurial world, what you hear about is a lot of theories, a lot of ideas, a lot of things that you have to go do. And then it's up to you to fill in the dots of what that actually looks like. And I was lost in that space for a long time. How do I put feet on this? And so what you're describing is how you invest into somebody else first, because when they walk in the door and you're trying to find out more about them, the thought in their mind is like, he's already putting effort into me. I haven't done anything for him. Normally when somebody goes into a job, there's an employer looks at them as, I pay you X amount, so you should produce Y. X amount of employees should produce X amount of product. Okay. What if that person has a lot more untapped potential? Okay. You, at that point in time, not investing into them, are choking them off from exponential growth. So
Well said.
if you
Yeah.
attack that from a selfish perspective, that's on you. If you attack it from a value perspective because you appreciate just people, that's, in my opinion, a better way to approach things.
Boom, boom, boom. Well said. Yeah, I can't
Mm-hmm.
stress it enough. I mean, you and I, we're in kind of archaic industries, and even some of the people on here, like Hal and Scott, we're all in the same kind of vibe. Man,
Yeah.
there's enough smart people out there telling you and I, this is how I felt with core values. I thought core values
Mm-hmm.
were stupid. I used to,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm from an oil and gas town, and I would go into the offices of the oil and gas, these nice fancy offices, and they'd have this giant poster of core values. And I thought they were the stupidest thing. And I couldn't figure out, like, why, first of all, why are they up there? And second of all, like, half the companies I knew didn't even follow through on their core values. So what was the point?
Right.
When you actually implement meaningful core values, and there's an incredible book from Thomas Keenan that helped me do mine, and is just insane. I actually buy that book for people today because I just love it. But when you actually build them based on what you like, and you implement them, and you make key decisions on who to hire, who to fire, what jobs to work with, it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing how everything falls into place. It doesn't matter if it's hiring an employee. And when you have repeatable values, it gets to the point, Kyle, and I don't know how you feel about this, but this is what I'm trying to accomplish in Laser. And it's always going to be a work in progress. I feel like we're just scratching the surface. But I'm trying to
Yeah.
get our core values to the point where Anybody in the field or in the office, if I'm not there, will be able to make a decision based on our core values. They'll be able to look at our values and say, I think I know what the right thing to do is in this situation. If you are interested in trying to be less involved, like working in your business, and instead you want to work on it,
Yep.
put in core values so people can make those decisions on their own.
Yep.
Also,
I
Thomas,
think
I'm going to hook
that's
you up with that form, buddy, here.
I think that's a method of leading from behind rather than leading from in front, to be honest with you, because you're putting somebody in the space. I need you to be able to problem solve this on your own. You're not going to be successful unless I give you the tools. Here's the tools. Make a decision. I'll be behind you. I understand that you might mess up. You
Yeah.
know, that's okay, because how many times have me and you made the wrong decision that we're learning lessons
12 times a
in
week
our
at
own business?
least.
Well, that's an
12
average
times
of
12
like,
12 times a day, like it's
but you have to give people the liberty to feel like they can be themselves and they can grow inside their company, inside your company, without getting reprimanded. Like, you're not going to get anywhere if that's the point that you want to be, is to be able to just kind of build a well-oiled machine that runs on its own. Then you need to start taking steps back first. Like, don't lead into it headstrong and feel like you have to carry all of the weight on your shoulders because you're the owner. Why? If that's not what type of business you want to have, then don't have that type of business now, because it's going to be a lot harder to back out of that later down the road. You're going to
bingo.
do it out of necessity because you're just being squished. That's what's going to happen. You're doing it out of necessity.
Well said. Hal, I mean, it's next level what it does for you when they're done correctly and you actually not just write them down, like you could just slap them down on a poster and call it a day, but like when we bring people into interview, like we have the same thing Kyle has. You saw it earlier on the live. We have a giant poster with all of our core values. I wish I was at the office now. You'd see it behind me. But like all 5 of our core values are there, and we will physically point to them, Steve and I, on the wall. And when we're hiring and interviewing new people, this is why we have this in our company. We'll ask them questions if they align with those values. And we straight up have not hired skilled technicians because they didn't align with our values. I've been going through that, especially in the hunt for a sales and estimating person. I've been trying for weeks now, weeks and weeks and weeks. Finally found the solution last week. But I interviewed people who are way smarter than me, like people who've been in business way longer than me, people with sales experience like as old as I am, but they didn't align with our values. And we simply can't bring people in to an ecosystem based on values if they're not going to buy in and they can't demonstrate them. It's crazy what core values do for your company. I don't know if you feel the same, Kyle. I got sick of enough people saying have core values, where I finally was just like, I'm going to try it. Never look back.
I think it was something that I did more so out of obedience, and I figured that I would see the results afterwards. But as soon as I started doing that and I saw the engagement of the rest of my team, then it was an instantaneous, oh, I should have done this a long time ago. And here's the thing is, you can't hold a standard if you don't have one. Okay? What I say to everybody that comes in here as a new potential employee is, this is how we hire and this is how we fire. That's it. It's as simple as that. And that way, I'm not the bad guy. Like, everybody knows when they come in, everybody else inside this company works around these values here and within. Okay. And the last one is always evolve. We're growing also. If you're going to stay 3 years ago, that's your problem. And you're the only one holding us back. So there's accountability inside it too, but I don't have to worry about being the bad guy at that point. If my job and my responsibility is to maintain a standard, then I don't have to justify it's my feeling against yours. No, you knew this when you came in here. Everybody knows this. Yeah.
Exactly. You can't. What did you say? You can't have a standard. You can't hold a standard if you don't have a standard,
Yeah,
right?
you can't enforce the standard if you don't have one.
Man, that's so true.
You know,
So
and
true.
especially in the world right now, because employees have a feel employee some of them have the attitude of they need me. I don't. Maybe other
Yeah.
companies do, but I don't. Like that's just not how I operate. And so you walking through my door thinking that you're going to demand something or, act sideways because I can't afford to lose you, I don't feel that way.
Boom. Yeah. We had to let go of a couple people in the height of snow season. They were skilled operators, but we couldn't have them. That's a tough decision to make. But
I was
Steve and I
scared
look.
for you when you did that.
We happened to have an epic. We had an epic snowstorm shortly after. But now looking back on it, yeah, it was a rough few weeks after. Steve and I were out there working not good hours and night shift and day shift. But in the long run, it kept. I basically could see the culture in the company dividing. So making that change, and that's because they weren't aligning with our core values. How we've been ripping for 51 minutes, bro. Oh, legit.
Dude, I'm okay. I'm okay to keep going till whenever.
I got like 5 more minutes. My wife is leaving. She's got an appointment, and I'll be
Okay.
babysitting. But one other cool thing,
Yeah.
I just I'm so excited about this, and I don't know if this is going to bring somebody value or not. But one other unbelievable thing about core values is you can bring somebody into your company who does not have the skill required to do a certain position, but as long as they have the values, training the skill is a million times easier than trying to train somebody to be a better value-based person. So in our company, we hired on somebody 8 weeks ago. Yeah, about 2 months ago. This person is a rock star, great personality. They buy into our values, checked all the boxes. We hired this person to be a snow plow operator and in the summer become a line painting technician. No line painting experience, but we brought this person on. That person, because they are so bought into our values and they have a good personality for it, that's the person that we've converted to our sales and estimating position. Somebody who's never done that ever before. And so training the skill, this person's been doing for 2 weeks now. It's going to take time. Like, and I'm cool with that. Like, the time is irrelevant to me. The fact that we've solved an immediate need in our company, estimating especially, by hiring from within because we had somebody who had the values, like I can't even begin to describe how awesome it has been. And yeah, it's work because the first week especially, I basically spent all my time showing and training and building processes for somebody else to do the things that I've been doing. I've been doing all the estimates for 4 years. That's just what I do. I couldn't keep up. And so because we have those values, the right person is in that seat now. Like that's all core values, man. That's all.
I've been saying something lately is that I can teach you skill, I can't teach you character.
100%.
And that's completely true. Like when I first started this company, there hasn't been one person that has worked for me yet. Well, Mark came on the end of last year. But essentially, there has not been one person that's worked for me yet that has smelled asphalt before they walked through this door. I started an entire paving crew this year, and I had to explain to them what a paver was. That's built off of character, not skill. I can teach you everything else you need to know. So if you want one piece of advice from me, hire for character, not skill.
I will second that 1.5 million times over. It's so true.
Or character over skill. Let's say that because skill is important. Character is more important.
Well said.
I know you've got to go. There's something burning in my mind that I want to get out, and
Rip it.
almost like we might segue it into another episode later. But this episode is how to build a winning culture. Okay, your culture is built through your marketing in a major way. So
Tell me what you mean.
You attract.
I don't even know what you mean.
You attract the culture you want through your marketing. If your marketing sucks, nobody knows what your company's like, and it doesn't attract the right people. If people see you through your marketing and through your sales and say, I want to be a part of that excitement, you're going to attract the right people. So there is a huge misunderstanding about this. And if you highlight other people inside your company, here's a hack. Because I truly value the people inside my company. Okay. And I feel like I don't give them enough credit. So at the times to where I was able to sit and just make a post, I made a post about Brandon and Heath and starting to cycle through the employees of how I truly see them as a human and as a contribution. Those were the most post engagements I got by tenfold. And with the second one, it was almost like, I'm going to pay attention to how this one reacts. So it's true when people buy people and other people sell people. I'm not doing that for selfish ambition to gain engagement of others, because I truly do appreciate them. But what I realized is your marketing tactics also attracts employees. So
Dude,
keep that.
I don't know if he's watching now, but so our operations manager Steve, he came on towards the end of last year. He was just going to come on just to help out with snow. He literally applied to our ridiculous Indeed posting, which I hate Indeed, because he went on our website and he said in the interview, I see what you guys are building, I see what you're about, and I want to be a part of it. And that guy, I tell him this every day, so I have no problem saying it on Facebook Live. He's not allowed to leave the company. He's going to be here a long time, because that guy he's unbelievable. And that's only because there was other snow plowing positions open. He wasn't trying to just go plow snow. He was trying to find something bigger, and he saw what we're doing, and he said, I think I want to make it switch out of the career I was in, get something more value based, something long term. That's just if you go on our website, I hate this, and Lewis knows, he put the picture up, but my picture's on there in the About Us section. I hate that myself. I don't want to be on the website. But you have to know that we are real human beings, not robots who are just pumping out line painting jobs. That attracts people too. I love that you brought that up, man.
Yeah, that's, your marketing truly to answer, because, how to build a winning culture. One major answer to that is your marketing. It's not going to be followed through if somebody is attracted by your marketing, but unattracted by your culture. So you can't truly, it is an all-inclusive thing. You can't have a front. It's like getting catfished. Don't catfish somebody with your business. Okay.
Well said.
I thought I was showing up for something a lot better than I got here for.
Bingo. You know what's funny is I feel like at our there's Steve right there. There's the guy. I feel like we're just getting started with our culture. We're just scratching the surface. We had an employee tell us a couple of weeks ago that what we're doing is weird. And I was like, man, that's I made a whole post about it. I was like, this is the greatest compliment I've ever been given. The fact that we're weird compared to what they knew before. Yep. Mission accomplished.
We're going to be just better than everybody else.
Okay. Lewis said recurring show. We'll have to work on that. Yeah, I think we could probably work something like that. John, you held on, buddy. We this Facebook Live fiasco. Oh my goodness, just a train wreck. Well, now I know StreamYard is the way to go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
honestly, we should have asked Lewis, because as soon as you said StreamYard, I'm like, oh, I've done this with Lewis before.
He knows, but that's okay. We're also recording it, and we're gonna throw this on the podcast too. So. Thanks everyone for coming on. This was awesome. We had some good questions. Hal and Thomas and Scott was there, my man. And John, much appreciated. Yeah. We'll put this on our respective podcasts so everyone can enjoy. And Kyle, are we going to do this again? I think we kind of have to.
I love doing stuff like this. Okay. So I truly do. If you're down for it, I'm down for it. I am, even though you're down for it. If you're not, I'm in. I'm in.
Oh, we'll do it again. Absolutely. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Much appreciated. Have an excellent evening. Peace.